Hello, you wonderful people. So for today's video, I want to share some thoughts and theories I have about the TV show Legacies, in particular what Landon's whole situation is, maybe like what he is and all that. I obviously do know that I am going into spoilers, so I am going to be talking about stuff from like the most recent episode, which is also interesting because like obviously this is going to be going on Wednesday and then new episodes tomorrow, but nevertheless. So basically, I won't give myself all the credit for this particular situation because recently, obviously, I was responding to a comment on last week's review, and Jamel Brewster had brought up an interesting point of just the whole like, oh, obviously that this whole Landon situation might be like an air situation in a sense of like, and it's something I've talked about too, like how Malivore obviously gave birth to Landon. Obviously his mother did, but like she got pregnant when she was in Malivore. So the thing then becomes like, I feel like that's definitely going to be even more true like when the time comes of like, especially we find out that Malivore is like a person or something, just kind of like how Malivore is actually like a being, but it's stuck being this like vast darkness or whatever, kind of similar to how Cade created that like psychic hell. I mean, it was kind of hell, but it was basically like a psychic hell that he created for a lot of people. So what if it's kind of a similar situation in that regard, and that basically Landon is kind of like this supernatural royalty? Because I mean, to be fair, like Malivore might not even be a person, it might just be like a supernatural being, a long lost powerful supernatural being. In that Vampire Diaries universe, they have a tendency to come out of the woodwork, kind of like, use an example like the originals themselves, or whether it be a Cade or a Silas or the Sirens. Jamel Brewster also brought up an interesting point of like, because obviously the whole discussion is like, so why doesn't like compulsion and stuff work on Landon? And Jamel's thought was kind of like, oh yeah, anti-magic is kind of maybe his whole thing. And I think that'd be interesting considering the fact is like everything in the Vampire Diaries universe is connected to magic, especially vampirism, so it would make sense. I mean, to be fair, we haven't really seen whether magic outright works on him or not. What would be interesting too is to see whether or not like anything happens if Lizzie or Josie ends up touching him, just to see if they end up drawing something from him, or would it have it? I mean, it doesn't seem like he outright has any magic, but you wonder like, would they end up siphoning off of something else that's there that maybe him or no one else is aware of that's there? And along those situations, the only thing we know like so far, because obviously the most recent episode was the whole parasite situation, the parasites didn't go after Landon at all. Like Lizzie had her reasoning, it was because of her bracelet that was shocking her that kept them away, but they never went after Landon. So why is that? And that kind of feeds into maybe it's the whole anti-magic thing. My thought process was like, because he's from Malivore and they were hidden in Malivore, maybe it kind of naturally gives him like this repellent from anything that was in Malivore, or this kind of might go into the whole anti-magic thing, because these might think what their whole thing might be considered magic, just like compulsion is, so that's initially where my brain is with kind of like my thought process behind it as well. So once again, I'm giving 100% credit to Jamel Brewster, because I think it's like that's a thought process I'm kind of more in line with too. But another thought I had just because of that conversation made me go, what if we end up finding out too that Landon isn't just like an heir to Malivore? What if he is Malivore itself? The fact is that what if this thing like it's basically trying to give birth to itself in this world? Like basically it took a part of itself and made it born in this world, and obviously once Malivore is fully unlocked, then it can become whole again. Kind of going along the same lines that Jamel Brewster had talked about, like what if like Landon went full evil? I mean, Hope ends up leaving Landon and that kind of ends up driving him dark. My thought is like, what if it's more like the moment Malivore is completely unlocked, then it combines with Landon and he's Malivore is complete, like I think that's the most unlikely, but I still think it's kind of an interesting thought if that ends up being the case, that he's actually Malivore itself, just kind of born into a human form, because that was the only way it could get itself out of whatever, like, maybe sealed containment form, like this whole darkness form that it has. Maybe that's like a sealed form. Well, I mean, obviously it's definitely a sealed form because we know it's being sealed up. So what if that's its only way to get itself into this world so that it can use itself? Because it seems like Landon has to be near them to like, because obviously he's drawn to them, so maybe that's the reason why like not just because he's connected to it, maybe because he is it, and it's like his desire to free himself, you know, the thought process. Or maybe in this case, it's like, oh, the thought process, you know, going back to the other case of like, oh, let me free my dad or whatever, you know. So it's an interesting thought. It's kind of what's, you know, all floating by my head right now about what this whole Landon situation might be. We'll actually have to, you know, obviously wait and see, you know, as the season progresses to find out like what Landon's whole deal is. Any comments down below, let me know your thoughts and theories about the whole situation. Do you agree with what I brought up in this video? Do you disagree? You know, do you have some other different theories about what, you know, Landon's whole situation is? Let me know. I'm very interested to hear what other people have to say about this. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about in this video. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and good